Happy Monday! Tonight I'm going to share with you the progress that my mom and I made on the koala quilt for the Koala Fundraiser. So thanks so much for joining me tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for the beginning crafter. And I am here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 9:30 Eastern and 6:30 Pacific, and it is a time that we can relax and craft together for about an hour in the evenings here. And I typically work on projects from beginning to end, so you can be part of the whole process along the way. Normally, right now, we would be working on the Granny Squares quilt. Oh gosh, I can't even remember what day of the week it is, you guys, or what week it is here. But tonight we're going to do a little special thing here. I'm going to show you guys the Granny Square quilt that we made over the weekend. So I was away for the weekend. I was visiting my parents, and my mom and I sewed together all of the koalas that you sent me. So we got 126 koalas total, if you can believe it. So you guys are totally amazing that you sent me all those koalas. And my mom and I designed the quilt, sewed it together, we quilted it, and we are already to putting on the binding, if you can believe it. It was a long 4 days. we really worked on that pretty hardcore. So, all right, I'm going to flip you guys around, and I'll show you guys what we did, and then I will work on the binding a little bit with you. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. Going to flip you around. All right, so here we are. Here's the quilt. I just got back today, you guys. Actually, I think we were going to work on the Splendid Sampler too. I think I got my weeks off. So we're kind of taking a little day off, and I just wanted to show you guys this. So we didn't get our Finish It Friday either, so this will be our Finish It Friday. So this is the back. The back is done with all of the fabric that you guys sent. So a lot of you guys, when you sent me a koala, you sent a piece of fabric as well. So all of that fabric is in the back. So some of you may recognize some of your fabrics here. We did need a little bit extra, so this is for my mom's stash, and then we put a little bit of Penguin and Fish fabric in. There is the little koala is in the Penguin and Fish fabric. So, all right, let's open this guy up. And here it is, you guys. So we put this really cute green border. This again was fabric that someone sent as well as the binding here. And I think it really framed it up nice. So I will show you guys some photos during the week, more of the progress. But I was posting some progress photos during over the weekend here. So I'll just kind of show you guys this, and then we'll start working. So check it out. All of the little guys are together. It's completely quilted. We are totally done quilting. What I did for quilting was I went around each guy and then added some swirls. And then we also added, I don't know if you guys can tell, it's a little easier to tell on the back, but let's see if I can get at an angle here for the lighting. But we also added like bamboo leaves. So they're kind of like feathers, but I just pointed at the end. So we have bamboo leaves, some squiggles, and then going around the koalas. And going around the koalas, you can kind of see here, it makes like a little cloud almost. So it's like a cloud poof. And then here you can see a big bamboo leaf going up. Just trying to get it in the light so you guys can see a little bit better. But there we go. Here's a koala, a little koala poof. Koala poof. But there we go. And then a pile of, oh yeah, eucalyptus leaves for koalas. But all right, you guys, so it's all together. And then all of these strips, every single one of them came from some other block in here. So yeah, I can see right away. So look, we have this purple koala here by Sue. This one's by Sue, but you know, so we trimmed all of these down, and they're all different sizes. Some are a little bit bigger, some are smaller. We cut that down. We cut it down to whatever size just felt right for the koala on the inside. And then, you know, there was excess around each block, so we used that excess in the rest of the quilt. So, for example, there's 2 pieces of purple that came from the excess of that koala there. Yeah, like here's every single one of these pieces was the excess from some other koala. So if you recognize your fabric, somewhere in there, then that's where it came from. Or that's what happened with it. We used it somewhere else in the quilt. But what that did is it kind of blends the quilt together. So everything actually ends up looking really nice because the color is somewhere else in the block or in the quilt, so it all looks like it goes together. And then we framed it with just this sweet green. Again, these 2 were fabrics that someone sent us, along with everything on the back. So that it just all worked out perfectly. You guys are just awesome. This was made out of all of your guys' hard work here. All right, so I thought tonight I would just work on the binding here, and as we work on the binding, I'll kind of be going around the quilt, so you'll be able to see a lot of what's happening in the quilt here. We'll get nice and close. So I'm gonna get down here. We'll zoom in a bit, and you can check out all the cute koalas. So I will take I'll take more photos of this when we finish up as well. So here's the binding. This is the part that's on. I'm almost done with the bottom of the quilt. I haven't done any of the sides or the top for the binding, but it's sewn on at least. And we just thought like this dark kind of holds in all of the pieces, and I like all these little dots together. But yeah, so let's get some thread, and we will just chill here and work on this tonight. So I quilted this all day yesterday. So we kind of divided this up into days. I mean, it's just kind of what happened. So on Thursday, so I got into town late on Wednesday. So we didn't do anything on Wednesday. But so we started on Thursday, and Thursday, oh gosh, you guys, I cannot thread this needle. All right, I gotta snip like a nice new end for this needle here. But so my mom pressed all the blocks. So there's 126 blocks, and she pressed all of them on Thursday. And then as she, oh yeah, Amy, there's yours. As she pressed, I cut them out. So again, these came in all different sizes, and we just basically framed them up so that each koala looked cute on its own, basically. So we didn't have a set size. We didn't have they're not all the same size. Some are bigger, some are smaller. Just whatever we thought looked cute. So that was Thursday. That's all we did Thursday. All right, I'm just starting a new little binding thread here. I tied a knot in one end, and we're just going to stick it right in here. There we go. And I know this is opposite of what a lot of people do bindings as, but this is the way I do it. A lot of people do it this way, but I like doing it this way. Okay, Tracy, so they're not perfect rows. So I don't know how many rows there are. The quilt ended up being around 90 inches by 80 inches. We made the decision, so we didn't even know if we were going to make more than one quilt. So after we pressed and cut all the koalas, we basically laid them out on the floor just to see how big this was going to be, because I thought we might have to make it into 2 quilts just because we'd have so many of them. But it actually turned out that it was going to be just kind of a large twin or a small kind of queen size quilt. So it was just like a good, nice, substantial quilt. So we decided to go with, as far as we could estimate from just seeing the koalas. Oh, Patty and Bonnie. So they're binding this way. Well, good, then I'm not alone. I didn't even realize that I was doing it different until a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're doing it upside down," but I don't know. This way's the most comfortable for me. Oh, Barbara does it this way. Oh, Catherine says 80 by 90 is my favorite size. Yeah, it's a hefty twin, I suppose. So a person could actually use it as a bed quilt, but it would be a really good nap on the couch quilt too. And actually, my mom was saying like, oh, this should actually be like hung somewhere, like in a library or something, so little kids could see all the koalas, and it could just be enjoyed by a lot of people, so it could show off all of your guys' just nice work. So I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so Thursday was pressing, cutting, laying it on the ground. Then Friday, for the entire day, we sewed it together. And what that kind of was, my mom sewed, and I was on the floor all day, kind of placing smaller pieces with the koalas. So remember, so this is like improv piecing, right? So for example, we have this square right here, and then we have this square underneath. But this square, this length, or this width here, isn't quite big enough to be sewn onto this one. It's a little skinnier, right? Because we didn't, I didn't do everything the same size. So we put a tiny little piece that we cut off from some other block, and we put that tiny piece onto this piece to make it the same size as the one above it, and then we sewed the two together. So we just did that process over and over and over again until everything was sewn together, basically. So that's why you see, smaller chunks sewn on to the koalas. It's because it was that whole improv way of stitching, of putting a quilt together, of piecing a quilt. And we've done that before here, but yeah, all it is making one size rectangle a similar size to the next rectangle that's a different size. So it's constantly just making things the same size. And so I was on the floor putting little strips next to other strips, and then Mom would grab those from me and sew them together, and our pieces just got bigger and bigger. I think you guys could see some of that we did a little time lapse, and I posted some pictures on Facebook, so there are some pictures of us doing that process, and we're going to put together a cute little video for this as well. Yeah, Robin, I think this is more comfortable because I can just put my hand here. If you're stitching the other way, then, I don't know, you kind of have to grab the quilt like that, and I feel like that's a lot to grab onto. This way I can just, all I'm doing is flipping this over. And I know a lot of people like flipping this over and then clipping it, so you can have a whole pile clipped and ready to go, and that's actually kind of nice too, but I just like flipping it over and sewing. And, I'm doing this whole hand-stitched binding. I didn't really probably have to do a hand-stitched binding, but it's my favorite way to do a binding, and I think it looks really nice, so. To me, I'm one of those people who actually like doing the binding. It feels like the last nice step to do. Although, you guys, we do not have a label yet. So we're going to have to think of all the information that we want on a label. So maybe I will pose that question over in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group, and we can discuss what we should do for a label for this. Oh gosh. I should have maybe run this through some beeswax or something. It's getting all curly right away. I used a little bit longer thread than what I probably should have for this. And actually, I think I'm not going to make it to the end of the corner. I'm going to just get right before, so I'm going to need more thread. I'm hoping tonight I'll be able to finish up the bottom, and then I'll be rotating and going up the left side here. All right, but anyway, so that was all of Friday. So that took the entire day. So we worked on it like over 8 hours each day, probably, except for Thursday, where we just kind of pressed and cut it. But so Friday, the entire day, we pieced the top. Saturday, we figured out the borders and the binding. So we had to figure that out from the fabric that we had. And we went with that green, this pretty green dot, again, that someone sent us, which was awesome. So we got to use like all your donated fabric, all your donated everything. So we did the borders and the binding and then the entire back. So we had to piece together the back as well. And then we also sandwiched it together that day. So that means like cutting the binding or cutting the batting, that fuzzy batting that goes in between the front and the back to make it nice and fluffy. We used my mom's batting that she had. So it has a bamboo batting on the inside. It's a really soft, nice, drapey batting. So some nice bamboo batting, and then got a little knot here again. It's getting all curly already. Ooh, this is a good knot here. There we go. Oh, it's actually a really big knot down here. Uh-oh, I think I might have broke the thread. Oh, no, I didn't. But yeah, so we put together this, we sandwiched it together. So that means where we pin it all together. So we have the three layers. So that was all day Saturday. And then all day Sunday, I frantically quilted it on the sewing machine. So I got up early and, we even had 1 hour less of sleep because we sprung ahead. The clock sprung ahead for daylight saving time. And then that same evening, my mom sewed on the binding. So we kind of tag teamed the evening sewing. When I finished the quilting, she sewed on the binding. And then I just kind of started stitching the binding while we were just chilling in the evening. Nope, she does not have a long arm. So I sewed this on her machine. It's a Bernina. Gosh, I don't know. It's probably from the 2000s. So it's probably it's nowhere near as old as the vintage machines that I work on, but it's not. It's a little computerized, but it's not like these new machines that do all of the, all the everything, like that do, like machine embroidery and all those things. So it was a challenge still because, it's a home machine and we're trying to quilt this and stick it all in the neck of the machine there, the big like rolling up the quilt and all that. So yeah, Don, I am completely wiped out. I'm actually so sore actually. And then we drove back today. So that was we were up late yesterday finishing this up, and then we left really early this morning because I needed to get to the office in the afternoon. So it was a long couple days, but I am totally impressed that we got this far. We were not really expecting that. Um, my arms are a little tired. I'm mostly my legs are so tired, you guys. It's just so bad. It just means I'm just totally out of shape again. I need to get to the Y, is what it means. On the first 2 days, or on Friday and Saturday, there was so much being on the floor and getting up and getting down. That's when we were sewing together the front, sewing all these little pieces, measuring all those pieces, and just getting up and getting down and moving things around, trying things out. And the same thing on Saturday when we made the borders and had to pin it onto the ground and all that. All that up and down stuff was just so much. So that's, oh my gosh, I'm still getting so many knots. All of that totally wiped me out. So I can barely go up and down stairs. It's horrible. I'm just out of shape, I think. Oh man, I just keep getting myself into these silly knots here. I think I got like a knot within a knot here. Dumb. There we go. Yeah, I'm just in loop crazy here. I had too long a thread, I think. Oh yes, so for all of you that don't have to deal with daylight saving time, here in most of the U.S., but not all, we have sprung ahead. So our clocks have gone ahead an hour. So this is typically, so this is what always confuses me every single year. So we sprung ahead. So what was 8:30? What was 7:30 is now our 8:30. So I think I'm on an hour earlier for anyone who does not have daylight saving. So I think that's the way it works. So let me know. I think Noeline, you just mentioned time. Let me know if that's correct. I'm on an hour earlier for anyone without daylight saving time. If you did put your clocks ahead, then I'm still on it at 8:30. Oh, it's about a 5-hour drive, so it's a hefty drive. So we woke up early and left today, and then I went right to the office. And after that, I came home and I slept all evening. So I have been like hardcore trying to nap all evening, and I woke up to do the binding a little bit here. It's not really kinked. It's just what I think it is the friction of going through the fabric. It's kind of curling this piece. This is the piece that's just being annoying. That's what's wrapping around things. So we'll get it done. I'll run out of it soon. But yeah, so we have the daylight saving time situation here too. So if you are thinking I'm on an hour later, I'm not now because we switched the clock over. I don't, Gina. So there's this thing called Thread Heaven. I think they don't make it anymore. I think the company is closed, but it was just this thread conditioner. You can use like beeswax and stuff, and I don't have any in my immediate reach. I do have some, and what that does, it just kind of stiffens the thread a little bit and makes it so it doesn't curl up on itself. It's doing it like way more than usual tonight here, so I don't know. But we're managing. It's fine. Oh, that's fun. Nolene says, yes, lunchtime for me. I grab my lunch and a coffee and plonk and watch. Oh, so Kathy's asking what binding width we used for this. This is a 2¼ inch binding. So I kind of always do 2½ but Mom suggested a 2¼ inch. I mean, it's pretty thin batting, so we don't have to cover it too much. So it doesn't have to be that big. And actually, we could have probably gone with a 2 inch and been just fine. But I kind of like when it's over a little bit more on the back. Like if we look on the front, it's only this much. There's not really a whole lot, just a little bit of an edge. And then on the back, there's a little bit more. I kind of like that. So this is a 2¼ inch. It's pressed in half, so we got like the fold here, and then the raw edge here, and then we're just flipping it around, so we lose like a 1/4 inch every time we do stuff. Oh, Bonnie's suggesting Burt's Bees lip balm. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, so this one is a 2¼ and you can really do it. You know, you could do it 2 inches. It depends if you have a really fat quilt, like if you're using like a really fluffy binding, um, you'll want maybe a little bigger, or if you're using a fluffy batting, I mean, then you might want a little bigger binding to make sure that you can wrap it around. This doesn't have much of a width, so the 2¼ works well. Oh gosh, so Noling says that they have daylight saving in Australia there until the 6th, so their time change is gonna change again. Ugh, it's always so silly. Oh, Pat says I cut 2½ and then leave batting a 1/4 inch wider than the quilt. Oh, to help fill the binding in. Oh, well, that's interesting. I've never done that before. So you're leaving a little extra binding when you cut, so you can fluff up or a little more batting, I'm sorry, before you cut, so you can fluff up the binding a little bit. That's interesting. You use 2½ I think that's what my typical thing that we use, but it's actually lucky that we did 2¼ because we used like all of the fabric up. So like we literally just had enough for the border. And luckily we wanted just like a nice thin border. So it worked out perfectly. And we had kind of just enough for the binding as well. So if we would have done a 2½ 2½ inch binding, I don't think we would have had enough. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to go to about here, just because I don't think I have enough thread to go all the way around this corner, and this thread's being annoying anyway. So I think I'm going to go to about here, and then I'm going to switch threads, and then we'll do this corner. And that will be me being done with the bottom here. So you can see here, for the quilting, there on this dark blue, you can see my quilting a little bit better. But we just outlined the border. So here's that edge of the border. So we stitched in the ditch there. And we think that made like this nice frame around all the quilting on the back. So we didn't do any quilting in the border, but we did that on purpose because there's so much quilting, so much stitching in the actual back that we left that like 2½ inch border just empty. We thought that would just kind of allow some breathing on the back a little bit. All right. But this is just that nice last little framing bit doing this binding. So, but like I said, I always think this is the last part, but it's not. We do have to make a label for this. I want to make like an extra special label to have all the information on it. And so we'll work on that over the next week or so. And then we will work on the auction for this. So we will be doing an auction. And I'm hoping that we can get a ton more money raised for Australians for Animals through the auction. So we'll see how that goes. I will have all sorts of information on that coming up. We're making a plan for that, and we'd like to get the word out as much as we can. Yeah, we're getting just all the loops here. We'll go to about right here. Yep, I'm already getting another knot. See, it's looping up here and making knots on itself too. All right. Oh, Bonnie's wondering if we got a Friday fish fry. We did. We actually got it as takeout and brought it home and ate, which is really kind of nice. So we did. We did get our Friday fish. Got to get Friday fish fry when you're in Wisconsin. So we did do that. And that was really nice. I got to see my grandpa. It was a nice weekend. Oh, and I got to see Chad. So Chad Kitty, you guys, is so funny now. So my parents moved, so they're in a new house now, and we had a break. We got Chad, but Chad's an outdoor kitty, so it was kind of we weren't sure if Chad would adapt to the new place at all. As an outdoor kitty, or if he would come around, or what. We didn't know if Chad would go away forever. But now, it's so funny. Chad, I'm going to end this thread here. Chad is just kind of gone all day. So we don't know where he is. If we're outside, he hasn't been coming around, so we don't know what he's doing during the day anymore. At the old house, if we were all outside and he was around, he would come over and, stretch out so he could get pet and stuff. But now we don't know where he is during the day. But however, every single night, he comes right when it gets kind of dark out. He comes to my parents' door and stands outside and waits to be let in. So every single night now, I mean, when he barely came inside at all at the old house, but now he comes in every single night. He comes when it gets dark and then sits at the door, waits to be let in, and then just chills in the house for a little bit. So that's his new routine. You see him every evening at the door. Such a good kitty. I think he's roaming around somewhere at the new house. But yeah, every single evening he'll pop up at the door. And the only reason you can see him, there's a little window at the bottom of the door, but the only way you can see him is that he's kind of a dark cat, but like a dark tiger kitty, but he has like a white fur chest. And so you can see that little chest in the window. And that's how you know he's there. Oh, I know the other neighbors who named him Socks. They won't see him anymore, but I don't think they saw him all that often. So they probably won't miss him too much. And I think they have a pile of dogs and stuff too, so they won't miss him. Oh, he probably sleeps. So that's what we were thinking, but he's not sleeping in the garage, which, I mean, there's a litter box in the garage that he uses, and his food's in the garage, so he's definitely going in the garage still. But usually, he, at the old house, he would come out and, hang out if he felt like it, if we were around. So he's not hanging out, he's not sleeping in the garage during the day, or maybe so because he's not coming out, so he's somewhere. He also at the old house really liked like this big wood pile, just a collection of wood that Dad just kept throwing wood on the pile. So he liked that, and there's lots of places like that in the new area. So he might be like kind of half living in a wood pile, not sure, but he comes to the door every single night and gets Mom and Dad let him in, and then he just roams the house, and he likes he has a little rug at the door, and he just likes kind of sitting on the rug and watching the house on the inside. So it's just kind of funny. It's a good kitty. It's nice. It's fun seeing him every single night coming there. So funny, that little guy. All right, we're getting there, getting to this corner. No, I told John that I wish we had a kitty that came to our door every evening that we could let in, and he could sit inside and watch TV with us or sit on the couch with us, and then we just put him outside when before going to bed. That'd be nice. So that's Chad. He comes to the house in the evenings, stays inside, comes inside for the evening, and then gets put out. Good kitty, I miss him. All right, we are getting to the corner here. It's about a 20-minute drive from the old house, so it's not like he would find his way back, I don't think. And especially if he's coming every night, then he's not finding his way back. All right, so I am just kind of I'm extending this so it's not like poofed up like that. I'm just kind of extending it, and then you can see kind of this little 45-degree angle happen here. And then I'm going to just flip the next corner, and they should kind of line up here. So I'm going to try and finagle it until they line up. And this is where clips could come in handy. There we go. I'm trying to match this point right here. You can see that where that fold is. So I'm going to stitch to there and tack it down. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to tack down this edge. So I'm right one stitch away. So I'm just kind of going through both layers of fabric there. Oh, Sally's asking, is there a story about how he got his name? Well, he was a stray cat, and he was hiding in the garage for a while, and then we kind of sat with him there for a while and lured him out, and after that he would kind of follow us tentatively and meow, and then that one evening when he finally came out of the garage, he meowed and meowed and meowed all evening. I think he was a little out of shock then. We don't know if he got left by someone or if it was someone else's cat that it didn't have any tracking or anything in it, or a leash or a collar or anything. But we don't know if it was, got on the outside of their car or something, and then we don't know. Anyway, so it's this stray cat. And it just meowed and meowed and meowed that one night, and then it would kind of just meow when it came over and stuff. So we called him Chatty. He was a pretty chatty cat, and he was just a little nervous or something. So we're like, oh, should he be called Scaredy Cat or something? But he was pretty talkative. And so I think Mom named him Chad because he was chatty. So a chatty cat turned into Chad, which I think is hilarious. I like all those funny human names for animals. I think it's just funny. All right, so I'm just kind of stitching this down. This is just so it has like the mitered corner here is just kind of laying nice and flat, but that's a good looking corner there. All stitched down, and I'm gonna just kind of get it towards the back again, and we'll just start stitching the next row then. So just kind of in that fold. There we go, just getting it as far down here as I can. That's pretty good. Yeah, like a chatty Cathy. Yep, exactly. Oh, your cat Frankie refuses to come in. So Chad is definitely an outside cat. An outside cat who is gosh, it is funny that he comes in. He's actively going into human mode when he comes by humans. And I think he kind of he likes just knowing what's up. I think so. He likes getting his pets, getting his. I mean, we are lucky to be in his presence. Basically, is Chad. So he is gracing us with his presence in the evening, and just keeping an eye on what's up. I guess in the evening by coming by. I think. It's funny though, he always does a stretch, like a big like downward dog stretch when he's accepting that he's gonna go into human mode. Like if he's gonna allow to be pet, he'll have to stretch first, so it's really funny. Anyway, I could talk about Chad all evening here. But there we go. So we have turned that corner. It looks super good. And I'm going down the next side here. So I don't think we'll work on this later this week, but I definitely wanted to show you guys where we're at. There's so many cute. They're all just so cute. They're all different. All these guys. I'll definitely be taking better photos, and John's gonna edit that video together. We're gonna make a page for the auction. So it will be an auction quilt, though. We discussed doing a raffle, but there's so much legal stuff with doing a raffle because a raffle is actually considered gambling. So there's a whole pile of gambling related rules, and it's different for every single state, and so you need like different licenses for all the states or something too. So we might look into it a little bit more, but it'll most likely be an auction quilt instead. So so that's how it'll work. But I will get more information on that coming up for you guys. I think it'd be awesome if a group went together to try and purchase it at the auction. Like I said, I'd love to get as much money together as we could. So if like a business group you're in, or a quilting group, or some sort of education group or something, if you're in one of those, like pitching that to the group so we can get as much as we can out of this, I think would be awesome. Oh, Robin, that's funny. But anyway, I will have more info again on that soon. Working on that this week. Oop, I don't think I grabbed it. There we go. So here's a spot that two of the binding pieces were sewn together, and you can hardly tell. So we sewed them at an angle because we don't have fabric long enough that will go all the way around. So we pieced them together. All right, you guys, I think tonight I'm going to stitch to the end of this thread, so it'll be a little bit here yet, and then we will call it a night. Oh, Nolene, that'd be awesome. So I might need help making the label. That's what I want to talk about coming up soon too, because I want to get all the good information on here. Oh, Gretchen, that's a good idea. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. So I need to really dig into the auction stuff soon. And we need to photograph everything really well and stuff too. It'll probably be an online auction, but if we could display it live somewhere, that would be kind of cool. So I'm thinking it'll probably actually be an eBay auction, but we'll have a link from our site to that. We have to look at the legality of all that stuff. You'd be surprised at how many rules there are with this sort of stuff. So I need to dig into not just rules, but like laws. So I have to dig into that a little bit more. For some reason, this thread is so much better. You know, I really honestly think I just cut a little too long of thread. Using a shorter thread with binding, I find, stab myself, so much easier. Yep, Sylvia's like, it's been abused, so yes, rules. Yep. And I know a lot of people have ways to get around it, but none of those ways are legal, so we don't want to do that. You know, like naming it something else in a Facebook group instead of a raffle. Sometimes they call it a waffle or something so they don't get searched. That's not legal. And saying it's another thing, but then when you get there, it's the raffle, you know, like, oh, we're actually raffling off, you know, so, or you're actually, it's not a raffle, you're just buying this, you know, whatever. But then, you know, it actually is a raffle, like, that's not really legal. Like, there's so many ways that people try and get around it, but it's not, it really isn't. And we want to spread the word here as much as we can, so we don't want to mess it up. And I may do a little giveaway before the auction as well. So stay tuned for that. All sorts of stuff coming up for this. So I will definitely keep you guys updated. Yeah, I should get I'll get some recommendations on good ways to do a quilt thing. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think it'll be an auction, not a raffle. Oop, there we go. I accidentally unthreaded this. There we go. I think we'll just get a few more stitches. When my thread gets about this length, that's when I start accidentally pulling it off the needle, which gets annoying too. So we'll do a few more and then call it an evening here. So we made a good, you know, this is about 8 inches or so, maybe about around 10 inches since we turned the corner. So that's quite a bit. We're cruising on this. So yeah, I actually still have to finish this quilt and everything too. So, you know, that'll give me a little time to figure out the auction thing. Bonnie, that would be awesome too. So that's all the stuff that I want to kind of dig into a little bit more to see if we can get the word out a little bit. And you know, we're making that video and stuff too that can be shared. So we're working on all of that. All right, so I'm gonna end here. So all I'm doing to end it, you know, I don't know if this is the proper way to do this, but I'm just going around that spot, you know, through both the back of the quilt and the binding. I'm just going through that spot one more time. And then that kind of locks it in place, and then I'm kind of just going in the middle of the quilt to like where it would be underneath the binding, and then I'm just tying. I'm like literally going back in and tying a knot. So that's all I'm doing to finish this up. Tying a little knot in there, and then I'm just kind of tucking it into the back of the quilt again like that. All right, and there we go. So now when I work on this again, I will just start up right there with a new thread, and we'll keep going there. So let me move this stuff quick, and we can take a look at the quilt a little bit more, and then we'll call it an evening here. So it's nice to be back with you guys. I know we were gone for quite a bit, but I think it paid off. We got a lot done on here. So there we go. So there's, see, it just is like a little spark of darkness at the bottom there. So there we are. So I'm happy that you guys got to see, you saw that video where you got to check where see if your koalas were in the quilt and everything. So every single one got in here. So this is 126 koalas. And they all just are so fun. They're all different and they're all just so fun. But yeah, so I will, I'm going to take some better pictures and we will just, I'll definitely keep you guys updated. All right, you guys, I'm going to flip you around and we'll call it an evening here. All right, hello everyone. So thank you again for joining me here. I will get this up on YouTube if you want to see some more binding and check out the little koalas a little bit more. It's good to be back. My YouTube channel is Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe when you're over there. Yes, I would love, you know, whatever we can do to get the word out of this, and I'll send you guys an update on how this will work and that sort of thing, and then maybe we can contact some media and try and get show off the quilt a little bit and the whole plan so we can raise more money. That's the whole point, right? So awesome, you guys. Thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Monday. Good night.